Hi, Christina. I just want to thank you so much for coming on this call with me, for just taking the time to share a little bit about your experience with Radical Woman Roadmap. So Christina, I think the first thing I would want to ask you is, what was an area of stuckness that you were trying to unlock as you joined Radical Woman Roadmap?
I think there were various ones. I kicked off with having a lot of self-doubt about having the gifts of design and entrepreneurship and all these areas that I love, and trusting that God had given me those talents, and that what I had chosen to do with them, with my business, were valid. And so I had a lot of like roadblocks, mental blocks about how to expand and organize myself in a way to grow, believing that this was truly my calling. Like, I've always had self-doubt about this being my true calling, and about that being enough. That all narrowed down to my trying to understand God's purpose in my life, and if I was really following God.
Wow, that's really powerful. And I think a lot of people can probably relate to that, in that you have a creative calling or an entrepreneurial calling, or, a calling for something that doesn't always resonate or directly tie to church and church stuff and ministry related stuff in the more, general sense that we're used to seeing it and being expressed, right? So it was just something a little bit outside, which is what I call these like modern day spiritual mutants. We're being, called into these different areas and spaces, but sometimes because of our programming, our spiritual programming, cultural programming, it's like, oh, I don't know about this. This is too worldly. This is too this. And so then we get really jacked up in our thinking and insecurities and fears, and we don't know what to do. And then we try to follow someone else's footsteps, and then we end up crashing and burning again, because that's not even the road that we were supposed to follow. What was it like as you started to encounter Radical Woman Roadmap? What are some of the challenges and how they used to impact your life? Aside from knowing these things were issues for you, how was it like impacting your everyday life, your emotions, your thought process? What was that like for you?
I kept getting stuck. Like, I would have a period of getting a lot of things done, and then a period of feeling really bad and not being so productive, and like getting into these cycles of self-doubt, doubting my leadership skills because I have a team, and so feeling that I wasn't good enough for them either. There was a lot of instability, and I had not learned. You understand intellectually and spiritually that we are called to seek God every day, but I wasn't consistent in my path. So I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is consistency. So that discipline and consistency has been really key for me in the program. And then sharing that path with other women that have the same self-doubt, question marks, are seeking the Lord as well, want to learn to grow in the Lord. So sharing that journey with other women is so powerful. And within the program, we're learning to walk with it. And like for us right now, 4 months later, look at how much we've done. It blows my mind.
I think everyone battles different things. And that's why I designed this program to be so holistic in nature, right? In that if you're battling mindset, and you get what you need for that area. If you're battling the ability to keep up with habits, the discipline to do certain things, because essentially anything we want to do, it's a desire for something plus the discipline is what equals the delight. Like how you build the habits, how we change our mindsets, how we change the grooves in our mind. It's marrying the psychology with the spirituality, with what God says about how we're designed, and seeing all the different proofs and methods and strategies to help us match that, to help us renew our mind, renew our spirit, right? And so it's really amazing that you've been able to see all those changes happen, and actually in such a short time, because even as you entered Radical Woman Roadmap, a lot of it was happening like on the back end. You're like, oh my God, I'm going through all this material and all these changes are happening. And now you're in my Radical Business Blueprint, which is the follow-up for women who want to then step into like full throttle business initiatives from a godly perspective still, and from a godly community, but just like really kickstarting that thing on a much more objective manner. So what would you say brought you the most freedom in terms of going through Radical Woman Roadmap?
Every segment you created is so powerful. Like, I've gone back. I'll try not to cry during this talk with you. I go back often. Like, I think at least like I did August through December, and then from December to right now, April, the Radical Business Blueprint. But I've gone back during doing this second program. I go back every month and do one or two of the segments or chapters, and they're so deep. I've had to go back various times because every time I've gone back, it's added a new layer to my understanding. It's so powerful, so infused, so black and white, because sometimes we get so fuzzy and confused about who God is, what God wants from us, and our purpose. So it's really hard to go, to give you just one answer. I would say that every single chapter and going back to every one of them, like I have, has added a new layer to my opening up. I think I blossomed. I got into the program being really afraid and feeling really insecure, and you went straight to those areas in the program, and we got to talk about it in our calls, and I went from feeling so insignificant to feeling so powerful in God's love and assurance that everything that I am, God put in me to impact other people's lives. And this program, like, I recommend it to everyone. Like, I've told all my friends about it. I could tell, just last night I was telling one of my friends in Holland that she should sign up for it, because it's a program that you can go back to for the rest of your life. You're going to add a new layer to it by reading again, by listening to your messages and doing the activities that you have to do with it. Because as you grow in understanding, you dive deeper into what you can bring out of the program. So I think it's a program it's a recurring thing that you can keep going back and growing from.
That's why actually, the ladies have access to it for a specific amount of time afterwards too, because I think it's something that you're always going to be wanting to come back to, aside from the notes and the exercises and the play sheets / worksheets that you guys have. But it's something where the content isn't designed to be consumed all at once and to do all the things at once, because honestly, that's not how habits are built anyway. You kind of have to choose a few that really make sense, and they're kind of hitting the strongest urgency areas in your life right now. So it's really interesting that you say that, because I do believe that's what ends up happening is people come back to it and they're like, oh my gosh, I never even got that, because your mind and your heart weren't ready for that other area. They were ready when God was ready to reveal them. So you come back to it. Now that one of the things is not a hurdle anymore, and you kind of worked on that, and that's a new habit and a new reality for you. You come back to the video and you're like, oh my gosh, I never even read that. I never even heard that part. That never even crossed my mind. And now because God reveals a new area where he's like, all right, let's press in on this, and let's give you freedom in this area as well. Right?
Hearing the perspective of how the other women in your group receive each chapter is also very powerful, because then you are infused with different angles and perspectives and aha moments, because you're like, oh yes.
Yeah, the live calls are really powerful because you're able to see that, one, you're not the only one going through some of these struggles or these battles or these issues that keep you feeling stuck, but also, as you said, you have the perspective of other people that are troubleshooting as you are. They're also asking me a lot of questions based on things that they're struggling with, that you're like, I never even thought of that, but I have that problem too, or I struggle with that thing too. So you get a lot of answers to personal questions that other people are asking along the way. And I think I guess technically last question, because you talked about a lot of things I wanted to ask you. So what would you say to somebody that wants to join, but perhaps is a little bit like, I don't know if I can invest in this. I don't know, like my budget is tight. I don't know. Will this be worth it for me? And I know that obviously we have value in different things, and what we invest in is what we truly deem valuable. And this being a holistic approach to business, entrepreneurship, the creative life, a really radical life of not walking in fear, walking in identity, walking in security and creativity. What would you say to somebody really standing on the fence and not sure if this is really worth their investment?
I would say it's so worth it. I personally think that the cost of this program is minuscule compared to the impact and the forever life-changing experience that and understanding and growth you will derive from it. We so easily, go out and buy a handbag or shoes, and this is like investment for life. I think anybody that listens to what the program is about and is thinking of doing it and unsure, they're already having this inner call to react, to grow, to change. You're not going to regret it. It's such a beautiful, powerful, life-changing program. I knew it was for me. So if you're having a little self-doubt or unsure, and time-wise, I think it's very doable. That a lot of, what you need to invest time-wise is very doable. You don't need to spend hours and hours. You can do a little bit at a time every day. Your videos are not long. They're very deep, so I had to listen various times. So I would say just go for it.
Yeah.
I'm always going to recommend, as long as you do this program, I'm always going to recommend it.
Thank you, Cristina. Actually also hit on a very important point. You have to be willing to invest yourself into it. So it's not just the financial investment, it's the mental, emotional, spiritual commitment investment into it. And so now you're in my Radical Business Blueprint, and you've also gotten to walk alongside some of the women that went through Radical Woman Roadmap and are also now in Radical Business Blueprint. What would you say? So first of all, I have to preface this by saying Radical Business Blueprint is not open to the public. It's only open and available to women who go through Radical Woman Roadmap first, because there is some serious foundation building there that happens so that the strength and the sustainability of your business is there. Right? So then what would you say that experience has been like now in Radical Business Blueprint? Jeff, what has that been like for you?
Coming from Radical Woman Roadmap, I came with the black and white clarity that my personal business is my life's calling and that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. So starting this new phase, this new program, I was already clear about God's calling for my life. And so now it was 4 months to really organize myself for scalability. And so I came into the program really focused on that and doing, the website and all these other things throughout the program. I would never, it would make no sense to do Radical Business Roadmap if you haven't done Radical Women. Exactly. Yeah. Because you absolutely need to have a clarity about your path with God. Both programs teach you to be stewards of your life and of your project that you believe is your calling in life. So I think that if you're not willing to do that, you're never going to be satisfied with the kind of life you lead.
Even if someone is giving you the blueprint of how your business would be extremely successful, that would never be successful without you being sustainably successful as an individual. With mind, heart, spirit, lifestyle, habits, relationships, all those things being clear, your clarity, your vision, your direction, your identity, all those things tied to a point of security in the Lord. It's impossible to move on with those steps long-term. You could probably do it short-term, but somewhere along the lines, you're going to be like questioning yourself again. You're going to come back to the cycle, back to square one, questioning yourself, your mission, your vision, what other people are doing, all the various tiny new objects that come into our life. Thank you so much, Cristina, for just being part of this beautiful community, for adding so much value to the women, and also for exemplifying what it is to really invest in yourself. Because from Radical Woman Roadmap, I remember you coming in and saying, even as you shared in our last call, that you came in with so much shame, with so much fear, because your life felt like it was all over the place. Your ideas were all over the place. Your lifestyle habits were all over the place. And you were like, I didn't even believe in myself enough to start the program, doing it, in the pace that it's supposed to be. But then you literally, God started transforming your heart as you got started, and you went on and went on and went on. And literally you completed the program in your own timing. And then God just completely changed your life. And I love now seeing how much profitability has come into your business since then too. You've gotten new clients, you've gotten you're almost like overboard in terms of like clients coming in and projects coming in, and you're almost like, I need more people, I need more staff, I need more baskets, because God is providing so much and bringing so much into your life. And so it's just been so beautiful to watch that. Thank you again.
Absolutely.
Any last words you want to share before we say bye?
Right now, when you were saying all this, non-negotiability came into my head. I think I was gifted from both programs, understanding that investing in myself is not negotiable, and that God's love for me is not negotiable. And part of that reflection is me learning to not, it's not negotiable, me stopping to do things that are for my improvement. not negotiable. So I'm so grateful and thankful to you, like that you are, you are the tea bag infused with God all over. I mean, seriously, anybody that comes close to you and your program is always going to be so blessed and impacted deeply, because you genuinely seek the Lord with all your heart. And that is so obvious, Huguette. Wow. And so I feel that I've learned the importance of being God infused and not negotiating any of that anymore.
So much, Cristina. What a powerful word. Not investing in yourself, in your inner life that also expresses itself in the outer life is a non-negotiable. And when that becomes our priority, it's a no-brainer. So there's no convincing to be made. There's nothing that you need to say to anybody other than, here it is. Here's the opportunity. Here's God's call. Are you going to say yes? So thank you for saying yes and for being incredible. I love you so much.
Thank you. I love you so much. Thank you. I'm all teary-eyed. I mean, seriously, you changed my life. Like God in you changed my life.
It's all God. It's all the Lord. It's
global. What you're doing is so global. There is such a disconnect, and you are creating this beautiful global connection of sisterhood that is so deep, profound, important, necessary.